Hi, this is Module 7 Video 5. In this video we're going to add some polish to our views. So the polish I wanted to add is firstly an app icon. You may have wondered watching these slides what that image is in the background. It's actually an icon I kind of designed before we started the whole process here. So we're going to take that icon and apply it to the app. After that I want to add some button images to our control buttons. So play, pause, skip backwards, skip forwards. And finally, I want to apply linking so that our binary output is as small as possible. So for the application icon, I've got Inkscape running on this machine. A little bit painful to set up on a Mac, but well worth it, I think, because it's a really good application. Now here's the icon I've designed. And it's obviously a vector, so we can scale this to whatever size we need and it will still look nice and crisp. So what I'm going to do is go into the project properties here, iOS application, and down here the universal icons. We can either assign the icons here directly, or we can use something called an asset catalog, which is admittedly not something I've used before, but I'm going to give it a go. So I'm going to create an asset catalog here, and therefore we can access the icons through the asset catalog, which is under resources. And you'll see it's created an app icons kind of set here. So double click this contents, and we can see all the different sizes we're going to need. Basically I want the app to run on everything here, so I'm going to generate each of these sizes and then drag them in here, or click it and select the image file. So what I'm going to do now is use Inkscape to generate all these different sizes and then point Xamarin Studio to those images, but I'll do that offline because it could take a little while. So I'll be back shortly. Okay, so there we go, all images generated and assigned. I've also run the PNGs through Image Optim application, which basically optimizes those PNGs to be as small as we can get them. I think Xamarin, or perhaps the Apple tooling, has something in the pipeline of a build that does something similar. But I figure the sooner we do it in the process, the better, because then the binaries are smaller everywhere instead of just in the resulting application. So there you go. The other thing I've done is rename the app just to Workout Watch. It used to be workoutwatch.ui.ios, so obviously this makes more sense. So now let me try running this on the device. So now if I go to the home screen, we can see our icon, which is pretty sweet. So next up I wanted to fix the buttons in our control area, and this is the design I came up with. Again, this is an SVG that you can find in the art folder that I'll be adding as part of this commit for this video. And basically what I've done is I've selected each item here and then exported that item at 3 different sizes, and then inside Xamarin Studio I've created an image set for each picture that we need, and within that I've dragged in those 3 images. So I did experiment a little bit with the vector, but it didn't work exactly the way I thought it would or should. So I've just dragged in PNGs for now, and I've not done iPhone or iPad specific PNGs. We've just got the universal ones and using that on everything. And then I've updated our exercise program view. I've created this inner control button class here, and all it does is take the image resource name and use that to set the image for the button. And then it also has this tint color, so that when it's not enabled, it changes the tint color so that the button goes darker. Obviously quite important because all of our buttons can be enabled or disabled. And then of course I've changed the code here to create those buttons instead of using our control factory, and I've removed the code that sets titles on the buttons because that's irrelevant now. And running that in the simulator, we can see that it looks pretty decent now. I've changed the layout logic as well a little bit so that this gap here is such that the skip buttons overlap the bounding box of the play pause area. Now we can't actually play or pause here because again we need a speech service that doesn't die in the simulator. And the other thing I had to do was create this canned exercise document service, because in order to run in the simulator, we need a document, and we can't use iCloud to do that because that doesn't work in the simulator. So this canned exercise document service just returns whatever's in the resource for the default document. So this is useful if you want to run the app without having to set up iCloud. And in the app delegate registrations, I've got this registration here, which will be commented out in the commit. But all you need to do is uncomment that, and you'll use the canned exercise document service instead of the iCloud document service. So just to be thorough, let's have a look at how this looks on the actual device. Okay, so you can see it looks fine. See the pause, play, skipping. And you can see that when it's disabled, it kind of grays out like that. And as it becomes enabled, it goes yellow. So that's cool, I'm happy with that. So the last bit of polish I wanted to do in this video is to link, which basically means to kind of cull the any binary code that we're not using in any of our dependencies. So by default, the build is set up such that debug builds aren't linking at all. I think release builds link the SDK assembly, so anything you're not using in the SDK will be stripped out. And an ad hoc build was the same, but I've changed ours to link all assemblies, and then I've passed in this additional mtouch argument to point it towards this linker XML file, which I've also added. And that file allows us to take more control over the linking process. So tell the linker, to include certain things like this. We've got all our assemblies listed here just to tell the linker that don't even bother stripping anything from these assemblies because we know we're going to need it all. Reactive UI, I've only told it to include specific things, and everything else is going to get pulled out. Now these things, the reason we need to do this is because they use via reflection, so the linker has no way of knowing that they're being used. And the easiest way to find this stuff out, by the way, is just to start with an empty linker file, and build the application and run it, and see what it complains about. It'll say such and such a method is missing. That that method is a dependency and it's been stripped by the linker at that point. Now some of these dependencies I had a heck of a time trying to get specific with the linker, so I just ended up throwing my arms in the air and just including everything because I couldn't figure out what it actually wanted. So at some point I may go back to this and try and figure it out, and perhaps make an even larger saving in terms of the binary size. But all in all, what this results in is the IPA package that gets built in an ad hoc build. Before linking it was 7.4 megabytes, afterwards it was 5.4. So we're saving over 25%, which is not insignificant. I mean, it's not massive, but certainly worth doing, I think. And it could get even better once this situation gets sorted out. So that's it for linking, and that's it for this video. So I will catch you in the next video. Bye.